All right, Ian Harrison for Red Bull KTM Factory Racing. We have to talk about our winner from last week, Eli Tomac. From what you know of this past week for him, was it a normal week? What went on for Eli Tomac over the past 6 days?
It's been a quiet week. He went back to Arizona, did his work, and really, really quiet. Nothing much going on there, and California was quiet too, a lot of rain.
Eli just told me he's been sick since Sunday, but he still rode twice. So to your knowledge, how much did that impact his work and his condition coming into this weekend?
Yeah, he told me he was feeling a little under the weather, but I'm not 100% sure on how much that impacted anything. From what I know so far this time, and watching him, he would have just run his normal routine.
Ian Harrison, Jamie Guida from Moto X Pod. How is Jorge Prado's recovery? Do we have an expectation on when he'll be back?
Yeah, actually, I saw him on Wednesday, and his shoulder's still a little bit stiff. But like we saw in the medical unit when they checked him out in Seattle, there was no breaks, no ligament damage, nothing like that. So he's just doing therapy, and we're going to go riding with him early next week, and it looks like he'll be back in Daytona.
Just talking to AP, he continued his rear end discussion. That's been a bit of a struggle for him thus far. He seems confident that you've taken big steps this week, and his package for this weekend is exactly what he's been looking for. So can you expand on what the team did and maybe a little more on what he's wanted out of the bike?
Yeah, that's been a little bit of a moving target lately, and he hasn't been 100% comfortable with the rear. Not that he can't go fast, it's just something that he wants to get out of it that would help him. So we've moved around a little bit, and nothing really seemed to fix what he was looking for. So this week we took a real stab at it. And so we brought that here today for him to give it a try. And I haven't talked to him yet, but from what I could see out on the track, it seems like it's something that's going to suit him.
Where would this problem have come from? Obviously, it's not been an issue for him in recent years. So what changes would he have made to the bike in the off-season which would have had a knock-on effect on the rear end, so to speak?
Well, like I've mentioned before, we have a new rear shock, and the setting came pretty quickly for the guys. And then once they start getting into their groove and getting onto these racetracks that are softer, where there's more traction, pulls down the rear a little bit more, then sometimes you need a little bit of a setting change. And that's been, like I said, a bit of a moving target. So I feel like now we got something. And with AP, with taller riders, it's always a little tougher because they have so much leverage. So they can get really far back. And so even though he's a tall guy and pretty skinny and that, he can put a lot of load on the rear. So that's what we've been looking for.
Aaron has openly kind of joked in the years past that he's not the best tester. So does that make it more difficult when he's like, I don't have a feeling I'm looking for, but he maybe doesn't really know how to get there?
Yeah, I would say that it also falls on us a little bit too. You know, we were just creeping up on it slowly, and sometimes you got to take a bigger stab, but you also worried about overshooting the mark, especially when you've already started racing. So I think that's why with him it's taken a little bit longer, but I'm sure he'll be back on track, and I'm looking forward to him getting back up front in the top 5 would be amazing.
All right, Scott Thompson with the MotoXPod.com. This season has been such a success with Eli kind of having a return to glory and all of that. Have you enjoyed having those guys a part of the team, and has expectations kind of gone better than what you thought?
It's pretty much yes to all of those questions. Yeah, it's been amazing. I feel like the entire team, it's lifted them up. Even the guys who predominantly are at the shop, the engine guys, they're all just like full ball. And it's cool to see everyone pulling in the same direction, and so it's really been a great kickoff to the season, and super nice.
Similar question, Jason Wygand from Racer X. Talk about the mood on a weekend. Jorge's out right now, but he was riding very well. That's a nice step. Eli, obviously great. We know that everybody loves hanging out with Aaron anyway. How does that affect the whole crew when the whole mood seems to be good all weekend? I'm assuming it is.
Absolutely. I think it pushes people to want to do more, and and when they see the kind of effort the riders are putting in, they want to do the same, and it's been nothing but a really, really successful start to this season. I mean, yeah, winning 3 of the first 6 rounds and having fastest qualifiers and being good in heat races and stuff. That's everything you hope for when you start a season. So for it to come around and happen is really cool.
Perhaps an impossible question for you to answer, but Eli was just gushing about how he can turn this bike and he's never had a feeling like it. What is it about the KTM from your perspective that allows him to unlock its potential in the turns so well? Is there a fundamental part of the geometry or the chassis that makes it work there?
Yeah, that's a good question, Lewis, because the geometry and the foot peg position, height, seat height, handlebar position, all those things are so similar on all of the bikes. So it's hard to really pinpoint exactly what it is when you're talking millimeters or a quarter degree or something on the front end. But in general, it feels like it has been a strong point. I think definitely the balance of the bike really helps you in situations like that. And we've had riders in the past years, all the way from Ryan to Marvin to even Cooper Webb, that like that kind of riding. So we have a lot of, I would say, a lot of experience with setting up the bike to work well in conditions like that.
So Gary Schlentz from Phoenix Racing Honda. Let's start out by talking about Cullen Park. He's coming off of a Supercross season last year that seems like it was one of the best in his career. So what's next as far as the goals that you and Cullen have laid out for him this year?
I mean, the goal is always to come out and try to win. So he's been putting in lots of work. We've made the bike a lot better, worked on our engine program, and I mean, we came out, try to win, get on the podium, and that's our goal.
Jamie Guida, MotoXpod.com. Let's start with Evan Ferry. Evan has struggled in his pro career, struggled to stay healthy, struggled with fitness in general, I believe. What has been the main focus with him on Phoenix Honda so far this season? And what are your expectations of him?
You hit the nail on the head with that one. He went to the doctor a few weeks ago. He's felt the best he's ever had. He hasn't made a main event, so our goal is to be in the main event every weekend. I went out with testing with him a couple weeks ago. He's looking really good, so just get in the main event and we'll be very happy.
I would say on your team, Cullen Park is the benchmark. How far off is Evan and Gavin? Gavin, coming out of the amateurs, showed a lot of potential also.
Gavin and Cullen are on the same pace, I would say. Evan has a little bit of work to do. I mean, we have our struggles, but he's coming up.
Has the technical package of the bike evolved at all since last year? Any big gains in any specific areas?
Our biggest gain would be our engine package. We've been working with Lonnie, our engine guy. We've hired Jamie from Twisted Development, so I would say our engine package is 50% better than last year, so that's our biggest improvement.
Along with not just the bike, the team itself and the facility, what also has improved coming into this season that has you guys and the team excited?
So we're starting with a whole new crew, basically. All new mechanics except one. Our communication's better, just the vibe of the whole team. Everything seems to be going really smooth, so the vibe is the best so far.
The resources a team like yours has are obviously less than some of the factory teams. So when a rider, Cullen or any of them, have struggles and they're looking for something, how easy is it for you to meet those needs within what you have available?
I would say it's pretty easy. I mean, we got some of the best people working with us. Guam at FC, Jamie at Twisted, Lonnie, our engine guy, our mechanics. I mean, we pretty much throw everything we can at it, so there's not really a limit.
Scott Yarjamoto now. Was there a consideration to do a 450 effort again this year?
No 450. Honda sat us down and said, if we wanted to do a 450, we're on our own. Focus on 250. So that's what we did.
Mitch Kendra with Racer X. You mentioned Gavin Towers, him coming back after his rookie season last year, being back with a Honda. How much of a step do you expect him to take this year, being back with a program, just another year into it, I guess?
Yeah, second year, so top tens. That's what we want and that's what we expect. So I don't see why that's not achievable. Yeah. Thank you.
From Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, Seth Hammaker, Drew Adams, these are two premier names in this class. So just talk about the preseason and what you've seen from both of these young men.
I think they had a great preseason, pretty much trouble-free, what you'd really like to see, actually. We did some testing in California a few weeks back, again last week in Florida with them, and everything went really well. So they look great today, so we have high expectations.
Jamie Guida, MotoXPod.com. Seth Hammaker seems to be one of the favorites for this title fight in the East. Drew Adams, in other words, or otherwise, is a little unknown, coming off some injuries. Only didn't get limited or got limited time last season. What do you expect out of Drew from what you've seen?
I expect big things. I think it's good for him being under the radar like that. He's still early in his career, and I think less pressure will be good for him, but he might surprise a lot of people tomorrow.
Originally, there were rumours that Drew was going to race on the West Coast, but I guess he had a little crash and maybe banged up his shoulder. How much of a setback was that? Did he have any time off the bike? When was it, etc.?
No, not really. I mean, we always choose coasts based on who's the healthiest. Every year we run the same program. They all must be ready for Anaheim, and we'll pick who's best. And if people are injured, we swap it around. But as far as his prep, that crash, I don't think affected it at all. Obviously, it was nicer for him to have the 6-week break, but it wasn't really a thing.
Mitch Kendra with Racer X. Seth, I talked to him a little bit. He said similar bike setup, a couple of changes, suspension and engine. I guess, did he start on a base setting from last year, just knowing he was coming back from an injury? And then did you give him the upgraded parts after that? I guess what's it like working back with a rider back from injury and adapting to the bike and the changes to the machine and stuff?
So he briefly started on what he finished with the prior year, but we had learned a lot since then. So, and obviously you learn a lot with your West Coast guys for the East, so those guys get the benefit of that. So he didn't spend a lot of time on his 25 setup. He went straight to what the other guys had, and then we tuned it to him from there.
Jason for Racer X, just basically, is Seth the same amount of prep he would have wanted, or is it a little bit behind? How did the injury affect his offseason, or is it not really a factor at this point?
We haven't spoken about the shoulder crash or anything like that for weeks. I don't think that's a very long way behind him now, and he's fully focused on this, and that wasn't really a factor. I don't think it's been for several weeks.
Scott Thompson with the MotoXPod.com. Obviously, we don't like to use the word PC curse, but it's been a while since you guys have had a championship. How hungry are you guys for this East Coast championship, and what are you looking forward to make that happen?
I think we've always been just as hungry. We've failed to execute on numerous occasions now, and that's what we need to work on.
Michael Antonovich with Title 24. Ian, I've seen you as part of the PC crew forever, and you do a lot of different jobs through the weekend. I see you at the computer, but you're really Mitch's right-hand man. So in your role right now, what's the most fun thing that gets you going through the weekend?
I think for probably everyone here, winning is the most fun thing, right? So we try and keep an eye on that and a focus on that, and only really reward that. So for me, it's putting all the pieces together and seeing the guy win. That's enjoyable and it's fun.
Any last questions for Ian? Jamie?
So off-season testing was done, and Levi and McAdoo go west, obviously. Were there any big bike changes for Drew and Seth due to what you guys learned under race conditions on the west?
No, they were already in place before we started the final phase of testing for Drew and Seth.
So much has been said about this new engine package. Levi said to me in Glendale that it's such a big improvement, but there's maybe still a lot of work to do off the back of it to maybe enhance it and whatnot. Can you expand on that a little bit?
The new engine package was 3 different components coming to 26, and that unlocked some things for us, and we now need to revisit quite a few things that possibly didn't work in the past, may work now. So yes, there's more potential there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, from Honda HRC Progressive, Lars Lindstrom. Lars, one of the big headlines this week is, of course, Joe, and you guys broke the news that he's back this weekend. So I guess take us back to when you had a strong feeling that he's going to be returning for the full East Coast swing. Was that a true last-minute decision, or did you have indicators maybe a month or two ago?
Well, first let me apologize if I'm rough because I haven't done one of these in a while. Yeah, so I'm sorry if I'm a little shy, but yeah, with Joe, the one thing that was kind of cool was that when he first, started recovering, his eye was always on making a comeback as soon as possible. The crash, didn't set him back mentally or anything like that. I think he was ready and excited to come back when possible. And he went through, I think first off, he had a great surgery with a great doctor, which I'm happy that we were able to collaborate with all the different people. Everybody wants to help. So we kind of made it all like one central communication, like location basically, so that, it was all organized. And then, so that was the big one that we got done right away, which was done locally in Tampa for him, which was great. That set him off on the trajectory was like his recovery and the PT and all that stuff just worked really well. I think, he took all the necessary steps to make that happen quicker than probably average. And even when he had his checkup with the doctor and got the x-ray and the CT recently to give him the thumbs up, I think the doctor was even surprised. And he was so far ahead of schedule that he was like, hey, you're pretty much healed. You can start riding, and as long as there's nothing, that hurts or feels weird, especially under a G load, apparently, then you should be good to go. And that was like 2.5 weeks ago. So he rode 450 on a turn track a little bit the 1 week. And then last week he rode Supercross 3 times. And then 2 days were a little bit of testing. And then this week he rode Monday, Tuesday. So he's got limited time. We're not really expecting a ton out of him. But we're just happy to be here. I think the main goal was to make the first East Coast if that was possible. It didn't seem possible, but now here we are.
So Jamie Guida, MotoXPod.com. That limited time was kind of what I want to ask about. What your expectations are for him? Do you feel like he's a podium guy this week with what you've seen at him over the last couple of weeks, or like let's get top 5 and move on?
Yeah, I think we're playing with house money right now. We didn't think this was going to be a possibility. So to even get a top 10, really, I would be happy. And, come out of here with some points and one more week down, get out of here healthy and just kind of build on that. And then kind of see what happens through the season. I think that right now we have a lot of riders that are, on the come up basically. And they notoriously haven't been super consistent. So hopefully that works in our advantage and we can kind of build into that guy. So yeah, right now I don't have any huge expectations for him and I'm definitely not putting any pressure on him.
With your 450 guy, Hunter Lawrence, leading the points by 1, I believe, but that first win still eludes them a little bit. What's the 1 or 2 things that you feel like Hunter needs to get over that hump and start collecting wins?
I think he's right there, and I think that's only a matter of time that those, 5 guys right now that are in the battle, and then the other guys behind them that are right there. It just hasn't kind of worked out to be in that spot, especially now that he's kind of built himself into what he is. The first couple rounds, maybe he was still kind of, not really stamping himself as one of the elite guys that can win. But now he has, and he is. So it just takes, that start and, making sure those first couple races, when Kenny got by him at Glendale, maybe if we could have not let Kenny get by, maybe he could have clicked it off there. But it's just going to take a little bit of all of that. And maybe now the better he's been getting now, the confidence is coming up. Just a decent start, a good start, and then riding like he knows how to ride. I think it's right there. I mean, obviously he's got the red plate, so the consistency has paid off. So we just need to keep doing that, and I think it'll just come.
Hey, Lars, you guys always do a great job when it comes to these themed races like the Military Appreciation Race this weekend. Looking at all the bikes, you guys have pulled out no stop or every stop to get it here. Can you talk about working with True Timber for all the casual stuff, but then SKDA on the look of the bikes, and then the approval process you have to go through every sponsor, so just everything is dialed?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think we're lucky that we have a partner like True Timber that's, willing to, spend the money and the time to make something like this. I mean, obviously their branding is camouflage and outdoor wear, so it's kind of right up their alley. And it's just a cool timing type of, event to do it at. So that, that's number one, which is that, and the Viper Snow pattern that we also have on the motorcycle, done with SKDA, which is another cool project to do with them. They have a bunch of great ideas, and the way that we're able to put it all together so that we're matching bike and gear. I don't know if anybody's done that yet, so I feel like that's a cool little feather in our cap maybe. But the approval process is really easy when it comes to these races, especially when you mention military and trying to do the appreciation for something as huge as that, and especially because we are American Honda, it's maybe a little bit different, but it really, that part of it's easy, and it makes it fun, and yeah, I think it looks cool.
For some time now, there's been talk of a big contract extension for Jet. We haven't had an official announcement yet, so can you maybe give us a status update of where that's at?
Sure. Yeah, I really think that pretty soon we're going to have a few big announcements.
And then finally, we've just seen the Honda MXGP look. It seems like HRC are maybe going for more of a uniformed global look. Can you confirm whether HRC America will be following suit with the big Honda along the rad shroud and whatever else?
Right now, I'm not 100% sure if that's what we're going to do. It is kind of a global look, though. MotoGP is kind of similar to that. Rally's kind of that way, too. So I'm assuming that we'll have something similar to that. We'll see if it looks the same. Not sure yet. Thanks.
All right, Will, thanks for being here. A lot of heavy hitters on your team, of course, but I want to ask you about Caden Dudney in particular. What can you tell us about the decision for him to step up from SMX Next to make that pro debut in Supercross this weekend?
I mean, mostly just to start racing for us, we seem to do this quite often and move the trajectory forward, and just a learning process. And anytime you can kind of sink your toes in a little bit to get experience without probably a lot of pressure. Luckily, we do have a strong coast with Cole, Nate, and Pierce. So for him to get out here and just get experience early, he was the guy that had the most consistent track time, and we're also pretty blessed to have a heck of an amateur squad as well to choose from.
From what I know, from what your racers have told me, is that your SMX Next athletes are often training with your 250 and even 450 athletes. Since he got the news last Saturday, did that change what his week looked like as far as training goes, or was it kind of business as usual for him?
Pretty business as usual. Obviously, there is a difference between our, I'd say our amateur bikes to the pro bikes, but not a whole lot. I mean, like I said, it was just a kind of a fast forward to getting them on the motorcycle, and the training didn't look any different. These guys are all together doing it.
Mitch Kendra with Racer X. Obviously, Pierce Brown had a really incredible start to the year until last year, until the injury at the opening round. Is it fair to expect the same out of him, or with such a significant injury, I guess where are the expectations at with him coming into this year?
Just from his off season and everything I've seen since he's been back on the bike in October, I would say expect exactly the same.
And then Cole Davies, obviously a really great rookie year last year. I guess expectations title-wise from him, I'm guessing?
I mean, I think I would have to say Nate, Pierce, and Cole are probably title or bust. I mean, I think they got all the same mindset. They've been riding good, and got to wait for the gate to drop. And then last one, you mentioned Nate. I think he has the most active wins now in this class. Do you feel like he has extra confidence coming into this year, knowing that he has more race wins than people, or is it just wait to see when the gate drops? You asked about Nate, correct? For me, I think the biggest thing for him was having a full season last year, which hasn't been his strong suit. A lot of injuries, a lot of stuff plaguing the outdoor season. Just getting that whole season, this whole off season being uninterrupted. I think that was the biggest thing. But obviously, yeah, I mean, he wants to win.
Max Anstey had an appendix issue this week. Is that linked to, first of all, his cough that would never go away, and then his slight dip in form? Does all of this somehow go together?
Well, and it's funny that you say that and bring it up, because even when he called me Monday morning when we got the news, I was shocked, but also not, because of him kind of going away with his kidney belt. I mean, I think that does have something to do with it, right? There's probably pain there, and we were laughing about it, but I'm like, it is probably true. And yeah, I'd say all of his sickness, the ups and downs, the inconsistency, and just struggling during the week, really respiratory wise, I'm sure it all had something to do with it.
All right. that coffee off.
Should I not comment on the kidney belt?
No, it's good. It's
Okay.
good. Kidney belt. Oh boy. Where's Bob Hanna? All right. Well, on Pierce Brown, tell me why I'm right about him being my favorite for the season.
I mean, I think we've expected a lot out of Pierce for it seems like a few years now. I think last year we got robbed short of being able to see him reach his true potential, and I think everyone's going to see it.
Hey, Will, you have a great rapport with the younger guys on your team, and we all know your career history of the injuries that you faced. What do you do to implement just a strong mindset in these guys when they do get knocked back down, and how you're going to build them back up?
I mean, you just got to move on, right? Like it's too easy to dwell. Being negative is the easier path, right? So getting yourself back going, whatever that looks like, whether it's going for a walk, getting back in the gym, being around the guys, just being in a positive atmosphere is the biggest thing.
Hey, Allie with Real Housewives of Moto. You've got a big roster with big personalities. Nobody's denying that. But you've got a couple guys who are a long way from home. How do you deal with these young kids that are literally living on another continent?
I mean, it's kind of all the same for all of them. And I think even being from America and you being transplanted, like if I put myself back to my rookie season and going into it, moving away from your family is hard no matter where you're at, right? But then that has it's a whole other situation with food. I mean, just comfort, time zone, all the way around. It's just trying to be there for them. I mean, more than anything, right? Like being that person. And as a team, I think we do a really good job of just being there for the kids. And just, it's normal. I think the hardest thing for a young kid is to feel abnormal, to feel homesick, and to feel this feeling and maybe, quote unquote, not feel like a man, but it's very normal.
All right, Scott Thompson, MotoXPod.com. With the younger guys, this is their first round. This is their Anaheim one. This is round 7 for the East Coast. How do you temper expectations to keep them kind of grounded? And how do you also kind of fuel them up at the same time to be ready to go for the first round?
Well, luckily that prep's all done in the off season. Like we're really lucky, and like you guys have touched on, we do have a big roster. But the benefit of that is we're able to kind of see where we sit. We know where we're at on West Coast being 1, 2, 3, and we expect to do the same. Thanks.
Nathan Ramsey from Rockstar Energy, Husqvarna Factory Racing. I'd like to ask you about one of your racers in particular, Dax Bennick. What have you seen from him that we need to be on the lookout for tomorrow?
Well, Dax is a very gifted, talented rider. It's clear to see when he's on the motorcycle. I think he's put together a really strong off-season. I mean, he's stacked up solid day after solid day, and he really is, didn't take much to get him on the bike because he's a history with our group. When I was amateur manager, I had the pleasure to work with him since he was on a 50. So it was very familiar for both of us. So I think that he's done great and got high expectations, but we know the class is tough. So we want to crawl before we walk, before we run.
Jamie Guida, MotoXPod.com. Let's follow up on Dax and Bennick. I feel like the talent is there, but maybe a small piece of the puzzle has been missing so far in his pro career. I could be wrong, but from your vision, knowing him as long as you have, do you feel like that's the case, or is just a little piece missing that you guys can fill?
Well, I think every rider has, pros and cons and, strong points and weak points. I think that Dax is kind of popped onto the scene. Each of his kind of debut year, he podiumed, and then last year he podiumed, and then things kind of went sideways after that. So I think it's just, like I said, I refer back to the off season. If you can put a really consistent off season together and stack up those good days, I believe that translates into the race series. So I'm looking to keep him healthy, keep him strong, keep him confident, and keep him believing in what he can actually do.
Speaking of riders being healthy, can we get an update on RJ Hampshire and whether it's realistic to expect him back within the Supercross season?
Well, if you know RJ, he's always coming back. But yeah, I mean, he everything's going good. He did have surgery on Wednesday of this week to repair a bone in his foot, and everything went really, really good. So I think we're looking at a 4 to 6 week turnaround here. Knowing RJ, he's probably going to be trying to ride in 3. I mean, he's smart about it, and he really is a professional when it comes to, everything you need to do to, generate quicker healing and all that stuff. So I think that he really, really wants to come back and plug in some Supercross racing, and we'll be smart about it, but at the same time, I think he'll be able to keep up on fitness and things like that. So it won't be as hard of a transition. So I think you'll see him back before the years out for Supercross.
Mitch Kendra with Racer X. Obviously, Malcolm Stewart had that shoulder injury at the first race. I guess how is your expectations changing throughout the season, knowing that he's dealing with that shoulder injury each and every weekend? I know he's also had some crashes, so I guess, how are the expectations changing, knowing he's dealing with an injury that's going to take a while?
Yeah, Malcolm, he had an amazing offseason. I've never seen him so committed and checking so many boxes. He always tries hard, but I think this year he had a couple new ideas of, preparation and being ready for the season, and then to kind of get the rug taken out from under him in Anaheim is super unfortunate. But you got to look at him. How tough he is to ride with a broken shoulder blade. And he's toughed his way through that part. I think we're over the hump. He's now able to ride hard during the week and really put it back in. So I think it's just around the corner, really. I think last week was a major step in the right direction. And I think kind of backing up to the crashes that you're referring to, he doesn't typically crash that much. He does have a big one here and there, but he that's just uncharacteristic for him, and I think that's a product of kind of having to hold back. He's compensated a little bit with his injury, and he's held back, and he's riding basically just to get points, and then all of a sudden he's starting to feel better, so he's pushing again. So then the muscle memory kind of fades a little bit, but it won't take long to get it back. So I expect to see him kind of climbing up the result board and as each race as we go.
Hey, I hate to keep talking about injuries, but then you guys had to post the news of Casey this week. Can you give us an update on really what happened, how he was looking in the preseason, and then all collarbones are a common thing. They can also be super complex. So what is the severity of it?
Yeah, I'm just heartbroken for Casey. He has put together, again, a really good offseason. It was clean. He really worked the process. He didn't try to do too much too soon. We just really were focused on, let's get through this off season, and let's build all the way into the first round. And I think he executed. He did everything he was asked, whether it was off the bike, on the bike, details of riding, whatever it was. He is a sponge, and he will listen. And I truly believe if we can get him here and have him healthy, we'll all see what he's capable of. And, the collarbone, it was a fractured collarbone. It wasn't broken all the way through. He didn't have to have surgery or anything like that. He's got some other things he's beat up on too that he's going to have to get over. But I think the time frame, all in all, is pretty close to the same. So I think he's got a good chance of being back on the bike in about a month. So maybe Birmingham is a possibility. That's what we're hoping for. And just to kind of go back to how mentally strong he is. He's been through a lot, and, I think we have conversations, and it's like when it all comes together and when you actually get the results, he's just going to appreciate it that much more. It's all there, and he puts in the work. So it's a matter of time before he can show us all what he's made of.
Scott Thompson, MotoXpod.com. We know as all the Austrian brands together, now that Gas has kind of fallen off, have you guys absorbed any of those efforts? Has your team's day-to-day stuff changed? More support from the manufacturer because of that?
No. Gas is still relevant. It's just not in factory racing at this moment. And we've all worked together. I think the walls have came down over the years that may have been there before, and I think that it's a very consistent and, communication is really good between all brands as well as Austria. So ultimately, if one team knows about a change, that goes all the way to Europe, so it's spread all the way across, which I'm sure these other manufacturers are in the same boat. But we it's an open door policy. I can go talk to Raj and Ian just as easily as I can call Austria and talk to Robert Jonas, so it feels really good. I think we have a big group, but it's good. It's really comfortable, I think, for everybody, and all the way to the top in North America with John Hines. He's a great leader as far as that goes on this side of the country, and it's just a great place to be, great place to work.
Steve Westfall from Triumph Factory Racing. I'd like to ask you about Jordan Smith, racing this weekend, of course, in the 450 class. Just tell us what kind of progression have you guys made on the mechanical side of things with that motorcycle going back to the start of this season with Austin Forkner?
We've made a lot of ground, so much that I don't even think I could keep up with it at this point. So obviously Austin and Jordan both ride totally different. So trying to set up, motorcycles and whatnot for different riders obviously takes a lot. Jordan's rode it probably about a month now. So we've done pretty good at getting it set up for Jordan, and hopefully this weekend, shows it.
If Austin had stayed healthy, would Jordan still be back this weekend, or did you have to rush Jordan back a little bit?
He would have been back this weekend.
And can we get an update on whether Austin will be staying 450 full-time?
Austin will stay 450 full-time.
Including Pro Motocross SMX?
That's tentative currently.
Okay.
Let's talk about Jalik, how he has looked, Jalik Swoll, how he's looked during the offseason. How prepared do you feel he is to get that first win?
He's been riding well. Supercross, he's only honestly ridden 14 days total, I believe, and that might even be a little on the high side. Obviously, having the injury he had again twice in a year, it's just trying to come back from that. If we can be in the top 5 and steadily just keep moving forward, I think you guys will see the Jalik that we saw outdoors.
Allie with Real Housewives of Moto. You've got a roster of young dads, and Jalik's getting married, and I know Jordan's expecting a second. How do you balance kind of the needs of your riders that are building families and have wives that want them home at 5 o'clock, and but just trying to build their careers at the same time?
They're all pretty supportive. The wives, the girlfriends, the fiancés, they're all pretty supportive of everything. So there's no real rush, honestly. It's pretty good balance.
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports. You guys ended the motocross season. You had so much momentum on your side. Now a series of injuries. How does that change your prep going in? You didn't get some of these riders back. Does it change more to the shop versus the track?
No. I mean, we're always going to keep trying to push the envelope to get better. Obviously, outdoors we were rolling pretty good, and then you have injuries along the way, and unfortunately that's part of the sport. So our preparation doesn't change. So, and it's there's no I in team at the end of the day. So we just all have one goal, and that's to try to make the best motorcycle we can.
Mitch Kendra with Racer X. Obviously, Jalik's first year with Triumph was a really great year. It looks like he took steps forward, even on a completely brand new bike, a new team. Even though the injuries last year, can we expect another? He still has room to grow. He didn't hit the ceiling yet, right?
I don't think he has. I don't think the kid's hit the ceiling personally. Let's get through this weekend, see where we're at, and build on it. But my gut tells me that you're going to see another side of him personally.
Yeah, and if we get to see a podium or a win or, good results, better results, I guess, how important is that to you guys, obviously, because you've had guys on the team that left the team and he's been injured, but he's been fighting through. You guys have had each other's backs through the whole thing. If he does get that success, how important is that to you guys and, to him as a rider as well?
I think it's probably more important for him personally. Obviously it's great for the team, but I think just for him in general, I think would be a huge accomplishment for his whole career.
All right, Scott Thompson, MotoXpod.com. It's crazy to think that we're already in year 3 of this team's being in the Supercross seasons. How has the bike and the team evolved to this point, and do you think that we're ahead of schedule of where you guys maybe thought we would be at this point?
If you ask me, we're probably behind schedule. If you look at the outside, people probably think we're ahead of schedule. It's hard. Nobody gets it unless you've done it. And trying to, with a new motorcycle, developing it and starting from the ground up, it's a lot, and I don't think anybody quite understands that. Plus all the problems that come along the way, and so we've tried to make sure that we don't have those problems, and I think we've done a good job at it.
Scott Yarjamoto now. How is Austin's recovery coming along, and when do you expect him back?
So Austin's plan is to start riding the week before Indy, and plan currently as we sit here today will be Birmingham.
What does Mikkel Harrop's program look like at the moment? And was there any
Rides about 50 hours a week.
Okay, that's on brand. Was there ever any truth to the rumor that he was going to start 2026 in MXGP before Pro Motocross?
No. No, so he wanted to go over and do some like off-season races prior or whatever, but just with their schedule, our schedule, their bike can be completely different than our bike. It was just not, it didn't make any sense. But no, he's back training, riding, doing his program.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Hey, Robbie, ClubMX. Let's talk about your guys this weekend. Cody Schock and Devin Simonson. I think Devin Simonson could have some surprises for us. What have you taken away from his preseason?
Yeah, really good off-season. Training went well. Everything working with Chad and boot camp, all 100%. And he's got like this slight chip on his shoulder a little bit right now. He really wants to, make up for that lost ground that he had from last year, getting hurt and having to miss so much time. So Devin's going to, I would say he's going to surprise some people.
Your other rider, Cody Schock, has had moments of brilliance. He's a great rider. I think he's moved up every year. What are your expectations out of him this season, and especially coming off how well your West guys have done, Max Volan and Hunter Yoder? What has he taken away from watching those guys?
I think he believes in the program, the bike, and I don't think he ever questioned it at any point, but he definitely got to see how well those guys were doing, and I think it's Cody's turn to step up, and this is his third year with the team, and I think what I saw in preseason and riding was a much more polished Cody Schock. I think we all know Cody can go really fast, but he also has those big moments, and I think we'll see less of those big moments as far as the season goes.
When you were last in the scrum, you discussed Chad Reed's involvement and how you expected him to go longer than his initially planned 6-race stint. So has he come to Arlington? Is he continuing with the team through East Coast?
Yeah, Chad is here, and he's going to be here for the rest of the season. So glad to have him back, or not back, but here for the rest of the season, and just keep moving forward and start the East. I'm excited to get going with the East, change of pace with 2 new guys.
So saw Cody is running the 22. How did those discussions go down with Chad at a club? That's pretty iconic.
Yeah, well, he got that number and he was going to run it regardless if Chad said no or not. But yeah, it was. We were joking earlier that if something was to happen to Cody, could Chad step up? And of course, I think he got about 5 laps in him, but that's about max right now. So yeah.
Hey, similar to what I asked Lars about the appearances of the bikes for this weekend, but you guys in particular, it could just be race 5 and you're going to throw a different color scheme out there. How is it to work with your guys' partners on that, especially because you are not a factory team? You guys have much more freedom to do what you want to do, and the partners that you have completely buy in.
Yeah, no, the bikes turned out great. I love them. I think they look great. And then, of course, there's 2 bases right by club that it's kind of a tribute to them. And then, of course, all the vets and military appreciation that we do with ClubMX, it's all kind of tied together. So it's near and dear to our heart. And, of course, Cody Schock's mechanic, Dakota Weber, he served in the military as well. So it all kind of ties together real nice.
Mitch Kendra with Racer X, obviously Ryder had that horrific crash earlier in the season. Do we have an update on him, how he's doing? Do we expect to see him in Supercross? I guess, what's the update?
Yeah, he was back at club on Tuesday and looks to be getting back on a bike probably in a few weeks, I would think. So, I think the goal right now is to roughly look to Alabama, and if not, then make a plan from there. But right now, looking like Alabama.
Scott Thompson, MotoXpod.com. Obviously, with the satellite teams, you guys are one of the premier ones, and they always like to compare you guys to the factory teams and look at some of the things that maybe you guys aren't capable of. What is one thing of being that satellite team with the sponsorships and the partners that you have that you think is an advantage against the factory teams?
Well, just the flexibility. We're not too rigid on what we have to run. But, the factory teams, they have the advantage. They have the budget. They have the money. So we have to look in every little corner that we can find to try to find a little advantage. And, you can see in the West, we were battling, fighting for whole shots and whatnot, and running right up there with the factory guys. But in my opinion, we need a little bit more. We need to find a few more spots, try to find that podium, and that's our goal.
We know that ClubMX really goes all out for military appreciation, not just with Dakota, Cody Schock's mechanic, but it sounds like due to your proximity to Fort Bragg and Camp Lejeune, you have some special guests commonly out to your facility. It sounds like you might even donate a day of riding for them. Tell us more about what you guys are giving back to the military community locally.
Yeah, well, I'm not the best person to talk to too much about that. I'm more on the race side, but of course, we definitely spend a lot of time in that space and try to give back as much as we can. Of course, to military. So, but yeah, that's where we're at.
Hey, Robbie, I talked to you about this back at the truck, but your son Ryder had a big one at SMX or Supercross Futures now, man. Sorry, I got confused. My bad. But how is he doing?
Yeah, no, he's doing really good. You wouldn't even know that he had the crash. He's, head's clear, hips good. Everything's healing up really good. He's like totally normal. So we got really lucky. That was a ugly crash, and definitely scared me a little bit. So, but as far as how he's doing mentally, he's doing really good. Yeah. Yeah, thanks.